From the Sunshine State, this is Tampa Bay's Tan Talk.
It's time for FLALAW, brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes. This hour will be informative, along with taking your questions and comments. Now, here are your hosts for today's show.
Good evening. It is Tuesday at 5 o'clock, and that means you are listening to FLALAW on the radio. This is a live legal call-in talk show brought to you by the law firm of Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes. We are the oldest personal injury law firm in Tampa Bay. We started back in 1955, and since then we have been helping people after car accidents, trip and falls, other personal injury matters, as well as workers' comp claims and Social Security disability matters. We are here to answer your questions that you have regarding the law. Or even if you don't have a question, just have a comment about the law. We're happy to address those as well. There are 3 ways to get in touch with us. First, the easy way, just give us a call. We are here live until 6 o'clock, so jump on the lines at 441-3000 and give us a call and give us your question or your comment. Also, you can jump on our Facebook page. We are Facebook Live right now at Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes Injury Lawyers. Perinick is spelled P-E-R-E-N-I-C-H. And you can just type in your question right there, and we can see your questions or comments, and we can address those right off of Facebook as well. And the third way is our YouTube channel. You can jump on Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes Injury Lawyers YouTube channel as well. And Ed on the other side of the glass would be happy to let us know what your question or comment may be. So again, Matthew Noyes, we're here live from 5 until 6 o'clock here on Tuesday and every Tuesday. December, you got the benefit of listening to Jacqueline Bryant host our shows. January is my month, so we'll be hosting it. But I'm not here by myself. I do have somebody very special on a very special day as well. And it's Lorrie Robinson is here. Lorrie is an attorney with our law firm. She's also the birthday girl today. And she has dedicated some time out of her own birthday to come and answer any questions that you have. So, Lorrie, happy birthday, and thank you
very
for,
much. It's
again, appearing on FLALAW on the radio.
Always great to be here. I couldn't help but think, didn't somebody famous say, it's 5 o'clock somewhere?
That's exactly right. I know exactly who said that. Yes, and it can always be 5 o'clock because if you wish to catch another episode or if you miss part of it and you want to listen to an old episode of FLALAW on the radio, we do put these up on our podcast platforms, Spotify and Apple Podcasts and other ones. You just have to search for Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, Noyes or FLALAW on the radio. And you can always see us anytime during our podcast. Well, I guess you can listen to us. I don't think you see us.
I guess you can't see us, but well, I suppose they must have on Facebook. Are they stored on the page?
I think Facebook is stored for a little while. I don't know how long they're stored for. But yeah, so you can look at Lorrie and myself right here, right now on our Facebook page live at Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes Injury Lawyers. So, Lorrie, why don't you just tell our listeners, I know our faithful listeners know all about you, but why don't you let our new listeners know just a little bit about you, and since you are a native Clearwatterian or
something like that, right? The Clearwatterian.
She was born in Morton Plant Hospital. So
back when it was the sparkling Clearwater, they used to call it.
Yes.
So it's always very exciting to actually even be in the studio, and I'm kind of looking. They have like a map on the wall of WTAN's basic listening area, and all of those places. So as I've shared before, and you just shared, of course, I was born here in Clearwater. My father was very involved in the business community, started out actually as a very young man. He was actually an announcer on WTAN for a period of time. And then he and his business partner, Chuck Adams, actually went into business with, and had another radio station that they put together. And this is, in the early 60s kind of thing at WAZE at the time. And so it's really a great pleasure to be a part of our law firm for as long as I have been, that is also very much, it grew out of what many of us might refer to as like old Clearwater, and has grown with the times.
Right.
So here we are with the law firm being literally we claim this, and I think it has to be true, that in the Tampa Bay area, for a personal injury law firm, we are the oldest, longest established, continuous law firm offering services to the Tampa Bay community for the specialized area of personal injury law.
That's right.
Which is just like in medicine, law, it used to be you'd go to a general practitioner, but that changed over time, and Guy Pernick, who was the senior partner here, that he really saw things and was able to establish the beginnings of specialization in our area, because as you and I know, it's unbelievable how complex some of the issues are that you end up having to deal with in personal injury.
Sure. Every day can be a little bit different,
Which keeps it very interesting.
Yeah,
that's why I love it. I'm
exactly
so
true.
grateful to be doing something that really is just fascinating, actually, and that allows us to help people.
Yes, and so we did start our law firm in 1955. Guy Pernick and Frank Muscarella started it. And we're going to talk a little bit about 1955. But first, I think there is a caller on the line. Hello, caller. Thank you for calling.
Hello, this is Parker Robinson calling Lorrie Robinson and into the show. So I just wanted to say I won't take up much of your time, because I know there are probably quite a few people that are interested in the exact topic, but I couldn't resist giving a call and saying, Lorrie, happy birthday.
Well, thank you. That's a great surprise. Thank you, Parker.
Well, thank you, Parker. I'm glad you're in Ocala, so we appreciate you calling us from Ocala to wish your sister a happy birthday.
At WTAN, where Daddy
Exactly. I know. That's particularly meaningful for our family.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for calling. We appreciate that.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. That's one happy birthday.
Yeah,
well,
that
I
was
guess
a great
the second one. I got one for me, but your brother's.
No, that's a great
important.
surprise. That's a very special treat.
That's great. Well, let's talk about 1955. A lot of wonderful things happened in 1955. The firm, of course, and somebody else sitting next to me, but I won't talk about age. But let's talk about 1955.
A fine wine.
Yeah, I have 10 wonderful things that happened in 1955. Well, with the other two, so I guess it's 12, a dozen. The first one that is historic, it is really the start of the civil rights movement. And that was Rosa Parks being arrested at Montgomery, Alabama, back on December 1st, 1955.
Isn't that an amazing thing? It's a piece of history that certainly we're well aware of, but I did not realize that was 1955 and how far we've come since that very brave lady's courageous action.
Right. And, we see it in the history books. It's like, well, gosh, it seemed like it was so far away. But it was at the same time that our firm was started, and
within living memory,
a little child was born at Morton Plant Hospital as well. Included with that was also the Montgomery bus boycott that started 4 days after Rosa Parks was arrested. So that was company two things in 1955. Another thing that happened in 1955 was the polio vaccine. The polio vaccine was declared safe and effective back in April of 1955.
Wow, and that's something we don't even really discuss polio anymore.
No.
And in our lifetimes, it isn't anything that's been even on the radar.
Right.
Because of the efforts of the vaccine, and that's really a wonderful thing.
Yes, no, that is a wonderful thing. Another wonderful thing that happened in 1955 happened in Anaheim, California, and that on July 17th, 1955. Disneyland opened.
There you go. And even better is like in, I don't know if it was 1968, 69, or 70 when Disney World opened.
Yeah, it was after, but Disney
But
World.
the original Disneyland, and especially in those early days, still wonderful. But what when I grew up, I was had the great blessing that, Walt Disney was alive, and they had the wonderful Disney program. It was like on, I think it was Sunday nights.
Yes,
and it was just fantastic.
Tinkerbell would come down.
Yes,
all that,
yes.
yeah. You know what I was surprised? My buddy and I went to Anaheim to watch baseball. Surprise, surprise. And I was surprised how Disneyland is situated in Anaheim.
Oh.
In Orlando, they have their own exit.
Right.
They have their home, almost their whole city all together. But in Anaheim, it was like on the side of the road. On the main drag, you turn right or you turn left, and poof, you're right under the gates of Disneyland.
Which I've never been to that one, but I know that actually with what happened in Florida, that, when they were looking to expand and do Disney World, we were a prime location because there was all that, at that time, open property in the middle of the state, so that they could actually have their own true location.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, and now there's not much open land even when you take I-4 up that way.
We can't even imagine what it would have been like at the time they negotiated to put Disney World there. But glad they did.
Yeah, no, me too. Yes. So right now, listeners, you are listening to a live legal call-in talk show. I know we're not talking legal just yet, but we will get there. But we are talking about the law firm of Perronick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes, which was created in 1955 with a very special guest, Lorrie Robinson, who was also created in 1955. And so I am Matthew Noyes. If you have questions regarding the law or 1955, give us a call at 727-441-3000 or jump on our Facebook Live page at Perronick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes Injury Lawyers, or our YouTube channel at Perronick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes Injury Lawyers as well. I have a tendency to Facebook Live because my son has been a guest on Paul Porter's The Home Team
the sporting
Saturday
show?
mornings, on Saturday mornings, and he always does his break with Facebook, and then my son says live, and so now I have a tendency to say that as well.
Live.
So, yeah. So let's jump back before we take the next call, and let's talk a little bit more about 1955. We talked about, the start of the civil rights movement, and talked about Disneyland. If something dear to my heart, my first job when I was 16 years old, thanks to something that happened in 1955. And that was Ray Kroc opened the first McDonald's franchise.
Wow, boy.
On April 15th, 1955. Can you imagine? That was...
I can't imagine there not being McDonald's. I can imagine the fast food business now is so huge.
Yes.
But it was in the early years, it was a real treat. It was something so different. And it still obviously is a treat, and it's very convenient. But that's amazing that all these years, McDonald's, and it's pretty much the same look, the same basic operation.
That's exactly right. And from the stories that I remember and that I watched on the History Channel, Ray Kroc didn't design it. There was two brothers who started a restaurant that they had this assembly line, and they were able to whip out, I think it was hamburgers and shakes. And it was very fast, very smooth. It was just a reduced menu, and Ray Kroc said, hey, that works. And sure enough, he's proven that it does work. So,
and how many kids like yourself, when you were growing up, have started out learning how to work a job through the McDonald's program?
I know. Yeah. I have a lot of friends still that worked at McDonald's. Back when I started many years ago. I can't do the math. 44 years ago. And so McDonald's has been around for 70 years, 71 now, I guess. But
I don't really want to talk about institutions with that number, but that's a long time.
That is a long time. And they've spread all over the place worldwide. So that's pretty good. Speaking of worldwide, this caught me by surprise when I was doing the research. And McDonald's started in 1955, but a furniture store in Sweden also started in 1955. And that was IKEA. IKEA opened its first store in Sweden in 1955.
Wow.
I thought it was brand new when it came down to Tampa. I thought it was something new.
I would have thought that too. I'd never seen anything like it, before. So interesting that they've been around so long.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good. I don't think I've ever bought anything there except for the Swedish meatballs at the cafeteria.
I've gone with a friend who did buy some things. I don't think I actually had bought anything there either, but it's a pretty cool store, though.
Yeah, it's pretty
kind
cool.
of fun to look at everything.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go to that much effort to put it together.
That's exactly right. You don't want me to put that together. There's no telling what it would look like. Well, we did talk about births in 1955. We have the law firm of Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes. We have a special birthday as well in 1955. But two other people, well, probably more than two other people, but two well-known people were born in 1955 as well. And that is Steve Jobs was born on February 24th in 1955. And Bill Gates was also born.
I'm very surprised.
Yeah,
I didn't know they were born the same year I was born.
Yeah, October 28th, 1955.
Yeah,
So,
it's like, ooh.
yeah, so some good things happened in 1955, that's for sure. But sadly, we've also had a few deaths in 1955, and one was Albert Einstein. He passed away on April 18th in 1955. And James Dean, he died in... How did he die? You remember how he died?
Wasn't it like a car wreck?
Yeah, it was a car wreck. Only fitting for us to talk about
That's
it on
right.
FLALAW
Exactly.
on the radio.
But I didn't, I think it's interesting because Albert Einstein didn't know how much into our century he lived. So actually,
Right.
if he was, I don't know how old he was actually, but he'd done his great work,
yeah.
So 1955. It's like,
He was
in our
kind of
century,
like Rosa
yeah.
Parks. You think it was so long ago,
Right.
but it was like, well, that really wasn't
No.
that long ago.
not in the scheme of things.
No. Before we talk about the next big thing in 1955, let's take a call. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Sherry. Thank you for calling, and thank you for listening to FLALAW on the radio.
You're so very welcome. I just called to wish Lorrie a very, very happy birthday.
Well, thank you so much. This is really great.
That's wonderful.
You really can't forget your birthday around our office anyway, though.
We don't let you.
It's all decorated. The office got all these balloons and things.
Sherry, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You
Thank
too.
you. Drive safely. I know how far she's driving, so we
Yes.
need her to drive safely, that's for sure. And we have another caller as well. Let's see. Who could that be? Hello, caller.
Hello.
There? Hello, who could this be?
Yes, I'm here.
Ah,
This is Marty.
I think I know this lady.
Just wanted to wish Miss Lorrie a very, very happy birthday today.
oh, well, thank you so much. Oh, my goodness.
Well, we'll just keep the calls coming. Happy
right.
birthday, Lorrie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you for
Okay.
listening. I kind of require her to listen, though. That's my wife, if anybody wants to know. So, Marty, thank you for listening, and thank you for calling in. And I'm sure Lorrie is also thankful for
Oh,
the
my
birthday
goodness.
wish as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
So let's talk about another thing in 1955, a wonderful thing that happened that, that I didn't know, and I don't even know if they still do it. I think it may be all online now. But the first Guinness Book of World Records was published in 1955.
Now, I would have thought that was around even longer.
Yeah. It started out as pub trivia. And
Pub
then
trivia,
a pub, just trivia at a pub, and then all of a sudden it became a book, and then it just kept growing and growing and became one of the best-selling books of all times, quite honestly.
Yes, well, that's very interesting. I didn't know that history at all. You could see where that could develop out of a little pub, an Irish pub, no doubt.
Yeah. I remember my daughter, when she was a teenager, she really loved the Guinness Book of World Records, and so she would always flip through it and look it up and such
See,
like that. So
what-
I thought that was pretty cool. But you are very important, and the law firm is very important.
'Tis true.
But one of the most important things that happened in 1955 was number 10 on my list, and that is the first commercially successful color television was released.
Now, nobody can believe that it was that recent, really, in a sense of the word, because where we are now with the way TVs are.
Right.
I
I don't think it was 4K or 8K or anything back
the
in
quality
1955.
is so incredible, and you have the big screens and all of that. But that original commercial one, I bet the screen was probably really small, and But it's amazing that from that point in time, that development occurred, and then just in essentially 71 years, we've come to have the technology that's just unbelievable. Actually,
we were talking before the show what our parents had for their TV.
I mean, my father, he loved anything technical, so he would have gotten a TV a color TV as soon as you could. And I was sharing, he liked to look at the test patterns because it wasn't like it is now with the 24/7. Our problem now is too much content. Back then, when it started, it was like a few stations, and they didn't stay on all night, and it's like, oh my goodness, you can't even imagine.
You would wake up and it'd be the static.
That's right.
Or you'd say, okay, it's time to turn it off because I hear the national anthem being sung.
Right.
And then you would have that, what you call it, the color.
The test pattern, where the color patterns, that, as I said, my father used to like to really look at that because he understood the technology behind it. Yeah, so it was, and it was so remarkable to him. He would not, now he's in heaven now, but he would not be able to imagine what we've come to now.
Right.
I mean, even when you think about when I would say, I've been back in our area, because after law school I went down to West Palm and was to practice down there for about 14 years, and then I came back in 92. And I was remembering at that time, they still had the little 13-inch, and I had that like in my bedroom type thing. So we've gone from TVs you could barely move. You could obviously move a 13-inch one, but remember the big ones with the big tubes and all of that to something.
Well, if you go to Brian Caulfield's office, you may find one of those old ones in his office. People tease him all the time that he's on Zoom and there's this old TV in the background.
Well, it's a little hard to know how to get rid of these things now, right?
That's right. But as we were talking, my dad and my mom had one of those huge TV, built-in TVs that you couldn't move that thing to save your life, And fortunately, I have 10 brothers and sisters. And so we were the remote control for the family. So we were able to turn the channels.
Yeah, because that
one
was
of the 3 channels, and we thought it was so cool once 44 became around. And so now they had 4 channels to turn the TV on.
So, I think it's probably few people, and certainly younger people, would have no idea how the technological advances built on top of each other and move so quickly. Because even, remember, of course, the FLALAW that our radio show is named in honor of, basically existed because there were still not so many. I mean, there was cable, but there weren't as many channels as there are now.
Exactly true. I mean, we started FLALAW. It was on the television, and we started on Channel 9.
Channel 9, wow.
Channel 9.
Right.
So that was before Bay News 9, and it was before any sports or anything like that. So we were pioneers on cable TV as well. We were in color. So that was good. But that was 30 years ago. It had to be because you were here.
Yeah, and so so if I started in 98, which is however many years ago, that is 27 or 8, I guess, coming on. And we were still doing the show at that time, but we did have a higher place on the dial. I mean, I think it was
we were
47 or something like that.
It turned out to 40, because then that's when Spectrum Sports came into play.
Right.
And they booted us up then, and then they got us up into the 100s.
Where
and
it's
so it was
a little hard to find that.
But we were doing 4 shows a night, and I mean, just another commitment to or evidence of our commitment to the community.
Yeah.
I mean, even back then, we were trying to be available to the community to answer legal questions that they may have regarding the law.
And we got quite a lot, sometimes some pretty crazy ones.
Yeah. I did have some defense attorney. Well, I remember one time a defense attorney called, asked a question regarding a case that we had against each other. So fortunately, I recognized his voice, and so I knew not to divulge all my secrets that we had to beat him in that case. But FLALAW on television was a lot of fun as well. But it was again another opportunity just to give back to the community, to
be available, because actually our law is our community, our life, our world really is permeated with a lot of legalities.
Sure.
And we live it, obviously, but unless you are living it like a lawyer would in a particular area, I mean, you don't have any idea how to even begin to approach it.
No, I know.
It's just, and so I think that I love that. It's one of the things I liked when I came to the firm, is that approach, that interest in trying to be available so that people could get their questions answered.
Yeah, and somebody may just have one question. They say, well, gosh, I don't want to talk to an attorney for one question. That's why we're here.
Right, because a lot of people would worry. It's like, well, what would it cost to talk to a
Right.
lawyer? And, the kind of work that we do, personal injury, we're always going to be available to, have a consultation where you don't have to be concerned about cost. But you wouldn't know that if
No.
you didn't have somebody telling you that, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I just met a very fine, very nice young woman who I think she was probably 18 or 19 years old, who unfortunately rear-ended somebody, and she didn't know what to say, what to do, and she admitted she was at fault. She didn't see her, and it was dark and such. There was a question whether or not the other person had their lights on, but she told the other driver, "I'll just pay for everything." And then she was worried because she said that her insurance company wouldn't get involved. And so
yeah.
I brought her and her mom in, and we just talked and let her know, really, no, you don't pay for anything. You
Right.
paid enough through your car insurance
how-
premiums.
And how many times will people feel the other driver was at fault, so why should my insurance have to pay?
Exactly.
Thinking that also that their premium will go up or something like that, but it's incorrect for the way auto insurance is set up, where your insurance, as we talk about so often, is supposed to pay for the medical bills under that PIP that we've
Right.
talked about so many times. But again, unless you've gone through the process, how the heck would you know that?
No, you don't know. In fact, I mean, there's no way to know unless you're listening to us or you Google it or whatever it may be. But you don't know.
You can go with the AI. I recommend Grok personally. I know you do the other one. Yeah, but even that can give you like a little bit of an idea of what questions to ask. But you can't really rely on the answers you get in that setting because, we've talked about this a lot. It's fantastic, but it's not foolproof. The way it's working, and particularly in areas where there are a lot of complexities and nuances to different fact patterns,
Oh, we haven't had a chance to talk just yet.
Oh, yeah.
But during the New Year's break, I decided to get the premium package for AI. I thought it was ChatGPT, but apparently it was something else. And it has Grok and ChatGPT 4 and Gemini 3,
Oh,
so
wow.
it has all of them. So I put it to the test.
Yes.
I asked the same question about overpayment in a workers' compensation case. And I think there was 4, maybe 5 different platforms you can ask. I got 5 different answers.
Really? Wow.
And only one was correct. Because I knew the answer.
Yeah, right.
But I wanted to see which one would tell me the right
Yes.
answer. And only one was correct. So if people are doing that and relying on that,
Right.
that could be
Yeah, it's just
detrimental.
misleading because it's hard to imagine that it isn't. It's a computer, right? So it's like you think that it's going to be giving you the answer, but particularly in these areas where there's a lot of nuances to it. So Social Security is a classic situation
Yeah.
where I've seen that. But again, it can be very helpful because it can give you a general idea of what you might ask a person who is actually doing that kind of work.
Right.
That is interesting.
Yeah, and every state's different too. So if you don't type in Florida,
Oh, yeah.
they're going
Right.
to give you something totally different as well. But yeah, so it was pretty interesting. But it's just an example of why you need to talk to an attorney.
Sure.
If there's a legal question that's going on, Google Esquire is not going to do the job for you, and you need to talk to an attorney. And in our areas, whether it is an auto accident or a trip and fall or a work injury or even Social Security disability, how many times do we talk to people about their Social Security disability claim and tell them it's not time just yet?
Right. No,
You
there's
know,
a lot of factors, but it's often good for a person to have an idea of what the general lay of the land is so that they
Sure.
can plan.
Yeah, no,
and we
100%.
Talk to people a lot about the general things that they're involved with Social Security.
Right. All right. Anybody new listening on the radio waves? This is Matthew Noyes. I'm one of the attorneys at the law firm of Parent at Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes. My partner, Lorrie Robinson, is here right next to me, here to answer questions that you have regarding the law, or just to wish Lorrie a happy birthday as well. You can give us a call at 727-441-3000, or you can jump on our Facebook page and type out any questions that you may have under the comments page. That Facebook page, we're live right now. You can see us in the studio. That is Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes Injury Lawyers. And that's the same for our YouTube channel as well. Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes Injury Lawyers on YouTube. You can type a question right there as well, and we'll be happy to address any questions that you have, address any comments. Some people say how unfair the legal system is, or, this is wrong with it. This is what needs to change. We're happy to discuss it. And again, now there's no wrong opinion when it comes to your feelings. We don't have to agree with it, but we're happy to discuss it and to address your concerns or answer your questions. So give us a call if you do have those questions. And if you miss an episode, you say, gosh, I heard Jacqueline last month and she had this really great attorney talking about tax law. You can jump on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other podcast platforms and find FLA Law on the radio, and has all the past episodes on it as well. So we're here live Tuesday from 5 to 6, but we're in your computer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All you got to do is find us. And so that's what we're here for. But Lorrie, we talked about 1955, and we were talking about age and how important age is, but age also comes into play when we're talking about the law. Mm-hmm. And I thought I'd talk about really two things: age as it relates to Social Security disability, and then age as it also relates to wrongful death damages. Mm-hmm. So, can you tell our listeners, how age plays a role in Social Security disability?
Well, yes, there's a lot of different factors with Social Security. It's a very, I would say, somewhat complicated system.
Somewhat.
Yeah, right, to put it mildly. I mean, I've been a lawyer for many, many years, as one could tell by my birthday. And when I started doing Social Security at the firm, which is probably 20 years ago now, I mean, we've done it certainly at least that period of time, but I was shocked because it's a system that's supposed to be something a person could do on their own.
Right.
And there, you could try. Many times you could, but it's quite complicated. So unless you have a classic situation, it's going to be difficult. And most people, if you are under 50, the rules are much more difficult to meet because they literally are talking about you can't be at all able to work a full-time job, and they define substantial work as they use a monetary cutoff. So it's currently just went up another $70, so it's $1,690 gross per month.
Per month.
Per
so
month.
It's about $400
a week or thereabouts. So if you are able to make $1 more than that amount, then you're not going to qualify for Social Security disability. But when you're younger than 50, so the standard's going to be, suppose you're not able to do that, then they're going to look to see, well, could you do the simplest job that you could imagine? Now, that's kind of the standard when you're under 50. As you get over 50, then,
before we get to over 50, when they're talking about ability to do substantial
Right.
gainful activity, there's this dictionary of occupations, right?
Right.
That they look at.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell our listeners, how old that is, and what crazy kind of occupations?
So,
that
Social Security is a big bureaucracy, and it's an administrative system. Now, if your situation, don't be discouraged. That's why you would call us if you had a question. But the way it's set up, they look at a book called the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, which was put together in 1991, which is now a long time ago.
Right.
And types of employment have changed a lot. But so they're going to match you against theoretical things that are in that book by the functions that you could perform. My favorite is always nut sorter.
That's right.
Now, I don't think we have any nut sorters here in Florida, but you probably do, up in the Northeast or something. But, there's all these things that actually don't map to the real world. One that used to be, remember, we used to have people in toll booths, but
Right.
we don't have people in toll booths anymore now, really, so to speak. But
or even the Walmart greeter. We don't.
Yeah.
We see that once in a while, but not that often.
all right, so it's that's probably they utilize a vocational expert if you go to hearing, and so they will kind of go through that book, and they can look at other types of things, but for the most part, what you're looking at is something that is sort of artificial. It might not have been when it was created, but now it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So it's hard. A lot of people will not understand, what their situation is. But having said that, just because you're under 50 doesn't mean that necessarily would be your situation. I was talking with a young woman today and was prepared to explain all this to her, and she actually had a different situation. She had numerous medical conditions that were very debilitating, and she'd actually been found disabled, and she'd actually was trying to work. And you can, for a period of time, if you're found disabled, they encourage that. You have like what they call an extended period of eligibility, and you can try working, but if it doesn't work out, then you're still on disability. And so she had a question involving her situation, which was a little different. But
even during that period of time, you can still earn your income, and earn your Social Security disability benefits for a limited period.
Yeah, they've got a period, what they call the trial work period, which is 9 months. After you have exhausted the 9 months of earnings, which are relatively low, then for 36 months. If you earn above that amount that we talked about, so right now it's $1,690 a month gross, then you would not actually get your disability that month. But if something happens, which is kind of common, and that's what this lady's experience is that you try and kind of knock yourself out and you're maybe earning a little bit more than that amount, but as long as you're over that amount, you're not going to get that benefit. But and she lost her job, actually. I mean, what had happened is her situation changed because she just couldn't keep it up. So in that situation, they should restart your benefits because
without having to go through the whole application process.
But
again.
After that 36 months, all you have to do is have 1 month, $1 over. Boom, you're off.
Wow.
And it comes as a surprise to people because they've been in the process for so long, and it's very complicated. So it's not for the faint of heart, but thank goodness, many people can qualify, but it's just something that most situations you should have some assistance with, really.
Right, and then okay, that sounds good. We're going to talk about the next age group in just a second, but first we're going to take a call. Hi, Jacqueline. Thank you for calling and listening to FLALAW on the radio.
Absolutely. I'm calling from the sunny city of St. Petersburg. I have a question for Lorrie.
There she
Lorrie,
is.
I have a legal question. Is it legal to host the show on your birthday?
I don't know. That might be
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, it's so much fun, right? We have a great time. So it's something I enjoy doing, but that's a good question.
I'm not going to answer that question.
No.
I'm going to raise attorney-client privilege there and not answer that question.
Exactly. Well, it's a great show nonetheless. I think it's even greater because it's your birthday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
All right, thank you.
And
Bye.
all you listeners know that's Jacqueline Bryan. She's a partner with our firm as well, and has hosted the show many times as well. And before we take the next age category, we're going to take another call. Let me see. Who could this be?
Hi, it's Osiris. I was just calling to wish Lorrie a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, Osiris. This is a day full of surprises.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. I did not expect this, but very, very nice. We have a great work environment, wonderful people, and they never let you forget your birthday.
That's right. I hope you enjoy your evening, Lorrie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Osiris.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling and wishing Lorrie a happy birthday. Osiris is one of our legal assistants, our team member who's just a rock star as well.
Yes, she is. She does a
She helps
wonderful job.
us with our Spanish-speaking clients, and she jumps in on our workers' comp cases as well. And so she's a joy to have. And she sounds good on the radio. She does.
She's got a
She's
good
always
radio
afraid
voice.
to call in. I said, come on, you can call in. But, but so she sounded good. So thank you, Osiris.
Yes.
All right. So we were talking about how age plays a role.
Right.
It's not a deciding factor, but it does play a role in Social Security disability. And we talked about being under age 50, which is the quote-unquote younger individuals. What's the next age group that
the next
Social
one
Security
is
looks
the
at?
50 to 55, and that's considered approaching advanced age. So many moons ago when I started doing Social Security work and I kind of crossed the threshold of 50, I thought, what's this about? Because it doesn't feel like that. But
right.
But their analysis actually is good in this area, because now what's happening once you get above 50 is if you can't do your past work, then when they look to see what other kind of work you in theory could do, they're going to factor in that for many people it's going to be hard to adjust to something completely different than they've ever done.
Right.
And you could see, like, particularly if you've done more physically demanding work, and that's not, you haven't really worked in an office setting, you don't really like it, and that's, you could definitely see that makes a whole lot more sense. Yeah. But it's applied across the board. So they'll look and they'll see, can you do your past work? And if your physical capabilities have ruled out your past work, then they're going to look to see what other type of work you could do if you have transferable skills. But they're not really looking, unless you have had specific managerial responsibilities or whatever. Most likely in that situation, they have a chart they call the medical vocational guidelines, and you may qualify. If you're limited to sedentary, which is seated duty, can't do your past work, say it was a fairly physical type job, you're 50 to 55, you will probably, as we say, grid out. You'll meet this chart that will say that you meet the disability criteria. So it is definitely easier to qualify as you get up over 50.
Now, if you're 50 to 54, the closely approaching advanced age, do they look at the same jobs under the Dictionary of Occupationals, like the nut sorter? Or if you were never a nut sorter or never had that?
No, they'd look at all those jobs,
okay.
but the rules are that they won't. So if you're limited by your physical capability, and it's not something like a nut sorter, that they're not going to be transferable skills for that, so something like that. But if your work, 50 is the key. So if you've been working in some particular job that requires, say, light capability, where you have to be able to do a bit of lifting and standing, then if you're reduced to sedentary, can't do your past work, and you're 50 to 54, then unless you had some specific transferable skill, in the usual case, you would qualify for disability. So they are not really looking at it in the same way if you are under 50 that they would, where they are literally looking at the nut sorter.
And we've had clients that come to us at the age of 49, and we've counseled them and said, you may want to wait a year to change that.
That change, what they call a change in age category, which is very, very, very significant. Sometimes, and I've had a few cases where if you're within about 6 months of a change, there is a rule that will allow the judge to consider that. But for the most part, it's kind of rigid in how they look at that. So a lot of times, picking when you would allege your onset date will be very important for easing the process of hopefully getting you qualified.
And then after closely approaching advanced age,
now,
guess what the next one
you're
is?
You're not advanced age, and once you hit 55, then if you have the capability to do light duty, which is really quite a lot, being on your feet quite a bit, being able to lift or carry something that's 20 pounds occasionally, 10 pounds frequently, that type of capability. But if you cannot do your past work, which they now look at a 5-year period. It used to be just a year or so ago that they would look at 15 years.
Right.
But and they would look at your past work as either you performed it or as generally performed in the economy. So, but now they're only looking at 5 years, which is helpful to that. And
sure, it makes more sense.
It does make more sense, because to go back to some job that
you did 14 years ago.
Yeah, depending on, that could be very difficult in many settings. So again, the rules are a little bit more realistic as you're older. So at that 55 point, you could have quite a lot of physical capability. So this is the kind of thing where people will say, well, how did that person get disability? And they'll think, well, that person could do some other type of job, and that might be true, but under the rules, and when you think about it, disability is getting your Social Security retirement early because you have a medical condition or a mental health condition that prevents you from working out to your full retirement age.
Right.
Or even to your early retirement age at 62. So it's not like you're getting something that you're not entitled to.
Right.
If you
paid into it.
Yeah. And so when you're older, advanced age, and when you get above 60 or above, then, even if you had somewhat of a managerial job, might have had, in theory, transferable skills, but once you get close to your retirement age like that, the early retirement, then the job that they would be considering would have to be so close to the same that there'd be literally hardly any difference. So you can see that it's very much skewed as you get older and closer to getting being eligible by age for your Social Security, that they make it easier for you to qualify. And so that's why, but it's complicated. That's why you would not be able to figure this out on your own. And actually, your doctor is not going to have a clue about that.
No,
they really are not. So that it's very hard to qualify when you're under 50, unless you have a very debilitating situation. Over 50, it's easier than you might think, depending on what your situation is, assuming you have good medical documentation that shows limitations, what's happening that prevents you
and
from
over 55, working. It's even a little bit more easier.
Right.
You raised a good point, but before I do that, let me give out the numbers again, just in case our listeners are saying, hey, I have a question for those two. If you're new on the radio, we are FLA Law on the radio. My name is Matthew Noyes. And that's Lorrie Robinson. We are two attorneys at the law firm of Perrin Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes, the proud sponsors and presenters of FLA Law on the radio. We are a personal injury law firm here in Tampa Bay, one of the longest established personal injury law firms in Tampa Bay. You can call us now. We got about 8 more minutes of tonight's show at 727-441-3000. Or jump on our Facebook Live page at Perrin Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes Injury Lawyers. Or jump on our YouTube channel at the same name at Perrin Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes Injury Lawyers. We're happy to answer any questions you have regarding the law. As we said, we are personal injury attorneys, but we also do workers' comp and Social Security disability as well, so we can be happy to tackle those questions. And if you want to catch an old episode, jump on any of the podcast platforms and find us and look us up on one of the old episodes. I will be here next week in case I forget. Again, and I think I have, who do I have? I think I have a family law attorney next week. And so they'll be talking family law next week. But we were talking about, you raised a good point before I jumped to the plus 60 age group. And people on Social Security or applying for Social Security have this stigma that they say, oh, why is he applying for Social Security disability? Look, I saw them do that or do this. 90%, if not more, of our clients would much rather be working than being on Social Security disability.
Right.
And I often kind of relay that to kind of the Facebook life. If you look at Facebook, everybody looks happy. Everybody looks like they're having a great time and doing a great thing. They don't really see the real life that person may be going through. And Social Security recipients are kind of the same way. They put on a good day. Hopefully they dress themselves and they go out and try to be a good citizen and interact. But nobody really sees what happens after that.
That's right, and people do seem to have a stigma, and and of course, it's not that there aren't situations, but you don't really know because you cannot tell by looking at somebody. Yeah. But the other thing I just want to emphasize is that Social Security disability is just getting your Social Security retirement early based on a condition that is preventing you under their rules from completing your work life, basically. And the other thing that can happen is a lot of people will actually, they just keep pushing, and they take their early retirement at age 62 because they can't do their job. They're done. They can't do it. But that's a 30% reduced benefit instead of going all the way to your full retirement, which for anybody now would be like 67.
Right. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about that? If someone does apply for early retirement, because they are unable to perform the duties, whether from physical or mental standpoint, can they still apply for Social Security disability?
Absolutely, and they should. If you stop working because of your condition, then you can take your early retirement and then apply for the disability. And if successful, then that 30% reduction in your benefit amount will be restored to you. So it's very definitely something that people should look at if that's the reason that they're taking an early retirement.
A lot of times we hear that is that because, hey, I just can't, physically can't do it anymore, and so I had to retire early. We had a wonderful, nice guy that was maintenance. I think he was with the school system or something. But he would climb up stories of stairs every day, all the time. And he finally said, hey, Matt, I can't do it anymore.
Right.
And that's my job. You know, I have to climb up to the third floor and fix the plumbing over there and get underneath the toilet and see what I can do to fix it. I just can't do that. So what he did the same thing. He retired early and then came to us and said, is there anything I can do? And sure enough, we said, yeah.
Yes, and that's a classic case where you're going to get approved. We should be able to get you approved, and those in that scenario, and you're entitled to it. You shouldn't take a reduced benefit when the reason you're retiring early is because you can't physically do it. And you can also see that it just wouldn't even be fair to expect somebody to figure out how to go sort nuts at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it just doesn't make sense because this is not a welfare benefit. This is your Social Security retirement that you paid into the system.
Yeah, for so
which is
long.
that can surprise people because the amount, it's based on what your earnings record is and their formulas and all that. You know, so it's not a welfare benefit; it's your benefit.
And something I think is also it's important for the general public to understand is you don't stop working one day and get Social Security disability the next day. The first step is that maybe it's the second step, but the first step is that you have to be out of work and not earning substantial gainful activity for, in most situations, 12 months, or likely not to earn income for 12 months. So people are living couch to couch, paycheck to paycheck, you know, just sucking out their savings,
very tough
for
and
many relying
people.
on family.
Yeah.
For Social Security disability, no, they'd much rather be working if they could be working.
Yes.
So I think that's important, and we hear it all the time from our clients that, gosh, I much rather be getting a paycheck and not worrying about this.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
But that's why we fight, and that's why
absolutely.
we do
It's one of the most rewarding areas of our practice. I mean, the personal injury encompasses the auto accident, a slip and fall, maybe a medical malpractice. But this area of Social Security disability, where people are, really in a very bad spot, it's quite rewarding to be able to help people and help them get through the system because, and at least understand the process, because unfortunately in many instances it does take quite a long time. Usually it's an 18-month or 2-year process. Not always.
Right.
Not always. There are exceptions to that, but it is normally fairly lengthy.
All right. We spent the last 58 minutes talking about 1955 and Social Security. Got about a minute left, and I think it's just as important because the Florida Wrongful Death Act also has an age component to it. And it's a minor child, and the minor child can recover damages for a death of a death of a parent for the loss of parental companionship, instructions, or guidance, unless there's there's no surviving spouse. But when we hear minor child, we think 18 automatically. But in reality, the law says it's not 18. A minor child for the purposes of wrongful death damages is 25 years.
Which is actually a help. There's been a lot of discussion about trying to eliminate that so that a child would be able to make a claim for a parent if there was not a spouse. But it's a little, just to illustrates what we said all along, there are a lot of little convoluted rules here. So
that's right.
Feel free to call.
As you can hear the back
Yes, I
music,
hear
it's birthday. Lorrie, happy birthday. Everybody, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. And in the meantime, drive safely and watch out for those who don't. Happy birthday,
Thank
Lorrie.
you so much.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
Listen.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Jennifer.